The bigger picture. Now, really, the process of buying low-emission vehicles, a big way of pushing that and making that happen faster is by authorities, government departments, local authorities, those type of people showing the way in leadership, showing that they are willing to put their money where their mouth is to some extent and procure these vehicles. Now, successful emission reduction policy sort of initiatives will almost always have roots within policy. There'll be something within the city or the government or somewhere there'll be a policy in your country, in your local authority, in your region that will say that low emission vehicles is something that this region wants to be involved in. Either there's a way that you can influence policy and get that into policy, or potentially there's a second way in which you need to interpret that policy and use that to your advantage. So you are then able to go to whoever it is who funds vehicles, or whoever holds the purse strings essentially for these types of initiatives, and say, look, our city policy says we should be buying low emission vehicles where possible. This is a low emission vehicle, we can buy this, so we should be buying this because that's what the policy documents say. So part of the job as a procurement officer is to understand what policies are out there, understand what procurement activities you're doing and how that relates to relevant policies, and use them to your advantage as a base of what you should be doing. If possible, try and influence the development of these policies. Policies are redeveloped every time there's a new administration normally, so if there is a new administration coming in to your region, it's worth trying to have something ready so that when the new administration comes in, you can present to them the idea of, for example, procuring a lot of low-emission vehicles or having an electric bus route or something like that, and say, look, I've already worked up the basic plans for this. If you can give me this much money, I can save you this much CO2. A lot of the time, particularly political appointees are looking for some kind of quick, big win. And if you can present that to them easily, they may well take you up on that. Obviously, that's not going to be appropriate for all procurers, but it's something certainly to think about if you think it's possible in your area. So the different levels of targets. So you're looking at your global level stuff. So this is real high level things like the Paris COP 2015. There's going to be something's going to come out of that. You might be able to link back to your local authority, but unlikely, but to have a look at that. And then there's the European level policies. So there's the 2020 policies and 2050 policies within Europe. And then most countries will have some kind of emissions reduction goals or emissions reduction targets, so your country almost certainly will have one, something for you to use and use as evidence, as it were, to why you need to invest in low emission vehicles. And then often regions or cities will have their own policy documents that will show the direction of travel that the mayor or whoever it is who controls that area has stated, and you can use that to your advantage, and try and use that to lever money so that you can go ahead and trial or demonstrate these vehicles within your area. Now, one really very important element to the procurement of low emission vehicles, because it's not business as usual, because procuring a low emission vehicle is not what is done. It's not what's been done in the past, and changing people essentially into more sustainable methods of behaviour or sustainable behaviour is not an easy thing to do. No one has ever been sacked for buying a Ford Transit, is what one fleet manager said to me when I was approaching him about looking at alternative fuel vehicles. It's very easy to continue doing what you have been doing. Getting people to change requires some real drive and determination from someone, and that person can be the procurement officer. So you need to talk to key people at the earliest stage. Have a map of some sort where you think about who are the key people in decisions of who buys what vehicles. There's the operators, there's the people who procure the vehicles, there's the people really senior who develop the policies into what type of vehicles should be procured. There's the people that potentially may not even really care too much about what type of vehicle, they just care about the pounds or the euros and the euro cents and pences. And if you can demonstrate to them, look, this vehicle isn't going to cost us any more over a 4 or 5 year period, they might be far more receptive to that than maybe even the operators or the people who initially thought they needed the vehicle might be. Particularly if they're used to working with spreadsheets and working in that type of finance sort of role. If you're able to demonstrate that over a few years these vehicles aren't more expensive or potentially cheaper, then their ears might prick up. So it's identifying the key people, take them on the journey with you. What will it look like? What will the start point be? What sort of key points are there along the journey into procuring an electric vehicle or a low emission vehicle or a gas vehicle or whatever it is? What are the key points? What are the things that you can demonstrate? For example, the policies I just spoke about as the reasons for doing it. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's policy. It's about really engaging everyone in the conversation about how you're going to get these low emission vehicles in. And talking about the CO2 and air quality side is only one part of that picture. It's worth understanding the full picture and having an idea of who the stakeholders are, and then sort of managing that process, actively managing that process. Now, there is other people who have gone through procuring low emission vehicles in the past. It has, anything you're going through, it's probably been gone through by someone else in the past. There's a lot of sort of stories out there from other people, a lot of experiences from other people. A lot of the time, if you see a local authority who has done something interesting, you see a news article about it, try and get in contact with them. They'll quite often be receptive and willing and want to talk to you about what it is that they've done. Sometimes what they've done is pretty amazing and they want to almost boast about it. So engaging with the people who have actually done the work, as well as these people who are on the slide here, and explaining, looking on these slides for these websites for what other people have done might give you some inspiration, or looking around for what other local authorities have done, you might be able to talk to them and find out what pitfalls they went through and not have them yourself. So, talk about very quickly about a case study that I was involved in, some work I was involved in. So, the mayor came into office, Boris Johnson came into office in 2008, and he said he wanted electric vehicles to be the reason. He dropped but he sort of took away some of the other low emission strategies that potentially were going to be put in place, and he centred a lot of the reason why he was doing that was around things like economic development and low emission zone maybe getting in the way of that. And he said a better way was to encourage the use of electric vehicles. So he had a very strong mayoral commitment to encouraging electric vehicles within London. So in 2008, the Mayor's Electric Vehicle Delivery Plan was developed. In there was 25,000 charge points in London. We didn't know any better at the time, no one had really done this before. We were kind of making it up as we went along to some extent, trying to do some basic research as best we could. We also had a promise of 100,000 vehicles in the London fleet as soon as possible, and 1,000 vehicles in the GLA, so that's the sort of the mayor's family, so transport, fire, police, and those types of fleets within that fleet by 2015. So, okay, those were quite big targets and high targets. They weren't met, but we certainly wouldn't have had 1,300 charge points that we do have now in London, or more than that in London now. We wouldn't have the Source London sort of infrastructure that sits around that and make sure it works, and the back office and all that. That would not exist if it wasn't for that Mayor's Electric Vehicle Delivery Plan. And we were able to then secure a dedicated budget within Transport for London to procure ultra-low emission vehicles, which was a direct result of 1,000 vehicles in the GLA fleet by 2015, meant that TfL had to ring-fence a bit of money towards getting ultra-low emission vehicles. So this is the end of this module, and please do click on one of our other links to watch one of the other modules.